Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. You are at Sow and Tare live chat. We do this every Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And everyone's always invited. We talk homesteading things. And I always have a topic of discussion pre-planned in the middle. And we start off with a bunch of hellos and highs. So go ahead and say hi in the comments. Tell us where you're growing things, what you're growing, and how you're doing. So, welcome. I brought a lemon to put in my water, so I'm going to do that while I talk. All right, Verna is here. Verna is Vay's place. She is in blue with a little wrench, and she's my moderator on here. She catches all the bad guys. And if you are growing in a small space, such as an apartment, check out her channel because that's what she does. And I know Dawn had the first comment. I did see it before. It's not in here anymore. Oh, my lemon has a bad part. So sad. All right. JJ's here. Welcome, JJ. Welcome, welcome. We missed you at the Cook With Me Live this weekend. It was fun. We made pizza. I made homemade pizza sauce from freeze-dried tomatoes. So that actually worked really well, and it turned out good. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Steve's here. Welcome, Steve. Greetings, my friends from the Mississippi Delta on the Enid shore. What is Enid? Is that a I don't know. This is part of the Delta, huh? Is it a bay or something? Anyway, welcome. JJ says, hey, I'm going to make some coffee while we wait. All right. Hopefully it's made and good. I have my lemon water today. And I have water on my face. All right. Steve wants JJ to make some for him. All right. Verna's crazy as ever, she says. Thank you, Steve. Steve is our countdown person for Quail and Homesteading Con at 110 days. If you go, I will see you there. It is happening at my Shire Farm, and it's in 110 days. Never have to double check Steve on that. He knows these things. Buster says, hey to all. Hi, Buster. Welcome. I was not 1 minute late. It was still 6 when I logged on. All right. Erica's here. Welcome, Erica. She says hello. Erica and PJ were on to make pizza, and it was a lot of fun. We chatted a bunch. If you want to learn about goats and how things are going with goats, we talk about other stuff, not just cooking on these things. All right. And we're going to put a link for the Quail and Homesteading Con. Thank you very much. Enid, local 28,000 man-made lake. 28,000 what? Man-made lake. To prevent flooding. Okay. What is the units of the 28,000? Or is it 28,000 lakes? Oh, acres. I could have just read the next comment. I'll be smarter. All right, JJ's back. Man, you guys weren't talking very long, huh? So, things are going good here. The cherries are starting to turn red, which is wonderful because I love cherries. And tomorrow, the video is going to be a story, a cherry-related story. So if you are growing cherries, watch it. Or you want to grow cherries, watch it. Also, it's just a funny story. So that's tomorrow's video. But the cherries are ripening. They're starting to ripen. And once they start ripening, it's like they start ripening and then you got to wait. JJ waves big. I wave big back. And then all of a sudden they're all ripe. And it's interesting because I have 4 different cherry trees. They ripen at slightly different times. And The Stella one is always behind, so it's interesting. So that's what's going on right outside my window. Verna has strawberries in the freezer. I have not done strawberries. Yes, I have. Did I? I think I threw in a couple with some other fruits last year, but I didn't do like a mass thing of strawberries. I did, however, eat a strawberry for my green stock today, and I was going to do a little video about it, but instead of doing that, I took a picture because I was using my phone, and apparently I did not change it to video before I took the picture. So there you go. But I have been eating strawberries every once in a while. I'm just going to turn off my phone sound. There we go. And that's what I love about the green stalks is, I mean, you get these little treats. You know, I tend to do, I have some June bearing, but the ever bearing ones, I tend to have those, and they're just, it's delicious because you can just snack on them as you walk by. You know, you have a few strawberries a day. You know, there's some points in the year where it's more, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. JJ says, "Yum! We had pizza at Mama La, and I didn't have to cook." That sounds good, JJ. Yeah, the pizza that we made, and if you would like to join in the future, and actually, when you join in the future, you can actually join at the like, you can see all the past ones. So if you like that, then there's the link. And yeah, but I have a really, really good pizza dough recipe that a friend gave me because years ago I was working in Illinois when I lived in Illinois, and I made, like, whenever I made pizza, it was just a recipe that I tried, and then I tried some online and stuff, and none of them were really great crust recipes. But my coworker was like, "Oh, you need mine," and he was right. And Erica can say how good that was because she was on there. I don't know where PJ is, but she did it, and she was like, "Oh, this is good." It's a good recipe. So yeah. Verna says, "I have a rabbit that is thumping." Be right back. Yeah, you know, Bambi, right? So we've all seen the childhood Disney movie Bambi and Thumper, right? And Thumper, it's so funny because, you know, it's portrayed much different than how rabbits actually thump. Rabbits thump when they're you know, a little peeved, or, you know, need you to like get out or do something that you're not doing. And that's not how they portray him in there. So I hope he's okay. I got a little thump. If you guys saw the video from today, I did have one. It fell out of the top layer of the hutch, the grow out hutch, landed on its feet, didn't get hurt. I put it back in, and it's like, oh, okay. And it did a little thump. Anyway, there you go. And Silver Creek says, "Howdy, Katrina. Howdy. Hope you're doing well." And Erica says, "It was delicious." Freeze or canned cherries? JJ, I have done both. I have frozen them. And actually, I had a plan for them. I never actually did. I think I still have some in the freezer, like a little bit from last year. Maybe. I may have freeze dried it. I freeze dried them. And in order to do that, you take the pit out. So before I freeze anything or can anything, I take the pit out. So I had this plan. I have an ice cream maker. I think it's Cuisinart, and I also have a juicer that you can put like frozen fruit through that it will make like a sorbet. It's just fruit, and it's a juicer, but that's something you can also do with it. And what I wanted to do is put the cherries through that sorbet kind of thing and make like ribbons of cherry and make chocolate ice cream and put that in there. And ooh, I'll do that this year. Yeah, it's a really it's a good thing in my head right now. But yes, I've done that. I have also made cherry pie filling and canned that. I've actually not canned cherries just by themselves or in cherry juice or, however regular cherries are canned or jarred. I always say a canning, but it's in a jar. And so yeah, I have done both of those. I've also freeze dried, and cherries are wonderful. Dawn's here. Hello from wet South Central Illinois. A tiny bit late. That's okay, Dawn. I told them you had the first comment. Welcome. I hope you're doing well and standing up. That's awesome. And JJ says I harvested bok choy today. That is awesome. I haven't planted bok choy in several years. I haven't planted it, but it does do well here. It would be well over by now here, because it gets warmer, but it does do well in the right season for sure. Yeah. Steve says I can't freeze cherries. Don't get eaten. They get eaten too fast. Yeah. They're actually really good frozen. Like if you get them out and you set them out for just a little bit, it's just like a nice little sweet treat. I freeze grapes too, and just have it that way, and they're nice. Yeah. And Dawn started bok choy today. Okay. Okay. JJ also started. Okay. Yeah, you're afraid that it will only bolt. So here's how to look at that differently, JJ. You are growing seeds that you might actually get food from this year instead, right? So if you do it with that mentality, you're growing seeds, then it will be okay if it bolts, right? There you go. Hassenpfeffer is climbing up the side of his cage to get my attention. He must be looking for strawberry. This is the rabbit, right? So she has a rabbit that was loose in her house for a while, and is now roommating with some quail, which is an interesting combination. Dawn says, Katrina, I was standing up to stand alone today at PT, and one of them yelled, "Wow, wow!" Yes, Dawn, you are progressing so quickly, and I just find that fascinating and awesome, and you're doing a really great job. So keep on doing it and keep a positive attitude, because that is serving you very well. Yeah, awesome. And Dawn saying Verna saying congratulations, Dawn. Erica says great progress, Dawn, and C says that's super. Woohoo from Verna. Yes, absolutely. Dawn says I raise my bok choy indoors in hydroponics. Yeah, you can you grow that all year round then, or does it get too hot inside? I don't know if you have air conditioning or anything. I don't hear. Yeah. JJ says I was telling Sophie, the dog, to get inside, and then the quail rooster said, "Get inside." So we went back and forth making the crow. Oh my goodness. Sometimes they do sound like there's the typical sound, and then there's some that just they can't get it. They're not very good singers, or maybe they're better singers. Maybe they're better singers than the rest of them. And it's so funny when they do kind of make something that sounds like a word. And JJ says, "Ooh, sounds nice, Dawn. I bet they are sweet." Yes. Yep. And Dawn saying thank you to everybody. Oh, Erica says, I got a picture of him sharing his strawberry with the quail. It was cute. Goodness. Dawn says, yes, I grow year-round in AC in jars, actually. Okay. That works as long as the root system isn't too big, or unless you have big jars. That's awesome. Now you need to get some fish and use that poopy water, right? JJ says, so next time your quail crows, see if you don't hear "get inside." I can hear, like, I know the sound of enough that it's kind of just a two-part thing, isn't it? How funny. That just says, Dawn, congratulations on all your progress. Yes. Yes, yes. C says one of my roos has a foul mouth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Verna says it was Smokey. Smokey's a rabbit. Being her usual troublesome self. Think she is starting to wean the kits. Oh, so she's upset at the babies because they're probably pestering her. Yeah, so rigatoni yesterday I think was day 35 and she didn't have babies. So I might just leave it in there a couple more days and see what happens. And then Ravioli got her nest box today. And so hopefully that's happening. Rigatoni actually looks bigger. So I don't know. And she didn't eat very much the last couple days. And that's usually indicative that they're going to give birth in the next couple days. I didn't notice last night that if her hair was, so the things that my rabbits do before they give birth, that's like, hey, something's up, is something diet wise. Most of them will stop eating or don't eat very much, kind of like a couple days before, and then they start eating like right before. And then the other thing that happens is there is a hormone that releases the fur so that they can pull it out and, you know, make a nest for their babies. But when you pet them, it will come off on your hand if you're close enough to that time. So usually that evening before, that's when the fur is loose. And she hasn't had that yet. So I'm just going to give her some extra time. Maybe I got the date wrong. I don't think so, but maybe I did. Yeah, so we should be expecting them. And then risotto and penne, their babies are around 3 weeks, so I'll probably wait till Thursday to get rid of the nest box. They weren't in the nest box last night, either one of them, either litter. But yeah, that's a little bit about the rabbits. And then once the nest box goes away, they'll be rebred. I'll go from there. All right. Dawn says, thank you. Every week is a lot of new progress. Almost overnight it happens. That's what it sounds like, Dawn. You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. And JJ's laughing at Steve. Verna says she's back to not wanting to be touched and complaining again. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, if she's weaning her kids, she probably is like, get away from me, guys. Yeah. Dawn says bok choy's roots are kind of short. I use 7-cup nut containers I grow in. Okay. So bigger than like a quart jar. That'd be almost twice that, huh? JJ says, yes, I have to replenish my seeds. See, you're growing seeds and it's okay. Yeah. Dawn says, I can't let the bok choy go to seed because it gets taller than my lights. I wish I could harvest seeds from them. I wonder, Dawn, if you could take them out, like if you could have like a wicking bed right outside your door or something, just for them to seed in, or you know, like I know they'd be used to being like wet all the time. It'd be interesting, but I get that. JJ wants to trade seeds. I have the short bok choy. Trade seeds. You know, that actually is a good thing to look at. You know, if you're in a short growing season, things that grow small or have small fruits, like the personal size watermelons or the smaller cantaloupes or the cherry tomatoes, those are the ones that, oh, there you go. Just might try that. Just set the jar out on the porch to summer heat. Actually, accidentally clicked on that, but that's good. And so if you're growing the smaller varieties, you know, smaller varieties of eggplants, smaller varieties of peppers, then they will come to fruition sooner, and you'll get more harvest. Even though they're smaller fruits, you'll get more harvest in a shorter period by growing the smaller fruits. If you have a long season, I mean, go ahead and grow the big old watermelons and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, you do baby bok choy? But when it bolts, the flower stalks get tall. Yeah, yeah. I have toy choy too. There's a seed that I have. Um, yeah, Dawn, try that. Put it on the porch for the heat, and because the heat will make it bolt. Yeah. For those that might not know, bolting means to go to flower and go to seed quickly. So, like lettuce is something that people can, oh, we can just eat off of it, eat off of it, eat off of it. At a certain time, it's going to get too hot for it to maintain itself, and it will just shoot up like seemingly overnight. And you're like, okay, now we have bitter lettuce, and that's the time where you're like, okay, I'll save these seeds, or let it self seed. Um, JJ says, yes, it seems so. These are from plants grown for about 50 years. I don't have a name for them. The best ones, right? Yeah, Verna says she has flower buds on her pepper plants already. That's good. I have pepper plants that this is their third season, and some that are the second season, and they are doing good. They're working on actually putting out more leaves because I trimmed them. I should have trimmed them before winter, but I wanted winter peppers. Yeah. Sudsu Baby at Baker Creek. Okay. PJ's here. Welcome, PJ. I was telling people about our pizza and our pizza crust. PJ adapted it, and she also made a sweet pizza. So, you want that tip? You gotta join. Welcome. Good evening. Sorry I'm late. Putting silky chicks and turkey pullets in brooder after taking puppy out. Only one? Yeah. She had lots of things going on there. She's always busy. All right. Everybody's saying hi. Verna says, that is great. Are they inside? Shake the plant so they pollinate. That's a good idea too. Yeah, so bumblebees bumble. Like that's why they go like this, right? On the flowers. And it actually shakes the pollen from the flower. That's cool. All right. Everybody's saying hi. Yeah, Verna plants in her green stalks. Dawn says, tomorrow ends week 2 on PT. This has been super painful, but fast progress. Absolutely fast progress from what I've been reading. That is awesome. Awesome. And like Steve says, keep it up so you can get the end result you want. Absolutely. JJ says, yes, I grow small watermelon and cantaloupe. They even grow in containers. Yep. And so one time I was growing this small, I think it's like a Russian yellow, like personal size watermelon. And I accidentally, when I was weaving up, like, hey, grow over here, vine, I accidentally broke it off and it had a little watermelon on it this big. And I'm like, oh, lost the whole watermelon. So I ate it. And it tastes like, like a squash or kind of unripe cucumber, but it was squash-like. So you can eat them. I mean, you should, wait until they become watermelons, but you can eat them. Or at least I ate one and I didn't die. So there you go. PJ says, processed milk today, made a bunch of cream cheese and butter. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome. That's great. I love that. I would like to live next to someone who has a dairy animal and benefit that way. I don't know that I want to milk something every day. That's a big commitment. Yeah. Especially when you go away, you got to have someone milk them. Unless you're kid sharing, I guess. Yeah, Verna says, wow, PJ, you have been working all day. Yep. And Dawn says, thanks, Steve. I'm going to keep it up. Some of the painful things that have brought tears to perform no longer hurt at all now. That is amazing. That is so amazing. PJ also got feed and hay. Yep. Yep. She has goats. She has goats, Verna. Yeah. Steve says, I'm tired just hearing about all PJ did. I worked and I paid the neighbor kid to weed the alleyway. So he did a really good job. He's going to come back and do more. He filled up the yard waste and the garbage can because we needed more room. But he did a great job. Because that's an area of the yard that I just ignore and probably shouldn't, but there you go. All right. Erica says, hubby just brought me some coffee. I think I might keep him around a while longer. You guys and your coffee. I'm not a coffee person. Yeah, PJ says goats. Silver Creek, if you want to watch PJ milk her goats, join the Katrina's Kits, because she did that this week. And it was fun. Silver Creek says, our power has been out for 3 hours. Our meter box, the box the meter plugs into, is fried. Had to replace everything from the pole. The box. Electric company is doing it now. Up on the pole? Been fun. We're leaving for vacation early in the morning, too. Oh, my goodness. You better make sure either it works or you have things plugged into generators somehow, with the freezer and stuff, or get canning. Wow. She does also have tiny cows. That is true, Berna. Yes. Zebos, right? Yeah. I have forgotten that for some reason. Well, good luck, Tommy. JJ says, I turned my old lazy compost in a dog fence bent into a circle, into a lazy potato garden. That is the right use of that right there. Awesome. Yeah, I actually have potatoes that I need to plant, and the Cook With Me Live people saw them the other day. I need to do that soon, I think. I need to cut them out of the bag because they're growing in the bag. Yeah. Yep. Dawn says, I have to laugh at goats. I'm watching this year's Clark's Farm 3, and he got goats, and it is hilarious. They are super fun to watch. That is that's something they're super fun, especially when they're little. Like, I know someone that has, I don't know if he still has them, but we used to go, I think they stopped before, since COVID. But we used to have an annual party over there, and they have little baby goats, and they are just the cutest things. You have to have your hair up because they will chew on your hair, and they just want to climb and love you. It's so awesome. Yeah. Yeah. JJ's asking, is that on YouTube? I don't know. Says zebu are great for milk too. Good to know. I'm not gonna milk the rabbits. It's the only mammal I'm raising here, but that's not happening. Yeah. So I am hoping we might be done with our bunch of rain. I'm hoping we're actually into spring. The last couple days it has wanted to be summer. Like, it is 87 degrees yesterday. So I'm not sure where that's headed. Hopefully not in that direction. And yeah. Sela's Homesteads here. Welcome. Says, we had Nigerian dwarf goats once. Milk was amazing. Yeah, and that's what I've heard. And I've never had fresh goat milk. I think I've had it from the store and it wasn't good, but that's what I've heard people say is, well, you got to try it fresh. Yeah. So, yeah. PJ says, I brought the 3 new babies in for daycare and milked their mama this afternoon. She is a pygmy. Oh my God, her teeth are so tiny. How funny. Buster says, if you milk your rabbits, we all want to watch. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's not something you're going to see. um, yeah, I did make that joke once when someone was over and they asked if there was any milk, and I didn't have milk in the house, but I had rabbits that were, nursing. I said, well, if you want to go milk a rabbit, and I was totally joking, but she didn't understand that was a joke. And she's like, what? Go, no, we're not doing that. Yeah, Dawn's laughing at you. Erica says, my goats stand up on hind legs beside me and help when I feed the quail. They are so funny. Stay away from the Scotland goats. Their milk is like cow milk. So you're saying like protein-wise, their milk is like cow milk? I don't know what Scotland goats are. I'm going to have to look that up. Is that the kind, or is that like a generic thing? Oh, I see them. All right. There you go. Oh, taste-wise, it is a breed. I looked it up. Well, guys, I have to put in a promo here. If you watched, do they have an accent? Well, you don't understand them, so maybe. My parents went to Australia on vacation several years ago, and my dad came back and said that their crows have an accent and blue eyes. And I was like, well, they're different species. Yeah. But I do have to plug, if you watch the Mother's Day video, which I wasn't doing videos on Sunday, but I had to do it on Sunday. My mom, this is totally not, well, I mean, there's some skills, but not homestead related, but it's my mom related. And so she actually wrote a book and is self-publishing, and she has it on Amazon, and it's a short story. It's a collection of short stories relating to quilts. So I will put the link here if you want to support her. If you don't, that is fine too. But I do want to show you what it looks like. Window. There we go. So this is what it looks like. It's called Fat Quarters, and it is, all about collection of quilt stories. So my mom's been writing for a long time, and this is the first one that she has actually self-published. And she has some other young adult books that she's done that are pretty good, and it's trying to get through publishers, but I'm like, you should just self-publish something. Just do it. So there you go. There's your promotion. I don't know if she's on here or not. She probably forgot. Lady Marianne, hello. Howdy, folks, she says. Howdy. How'd your mom like your flowers? She liked them. She knows that's what she's getting. She knows the whole story. And I try and make them different every year. But yeah, she liked them. It was fun. Thank you for asking. Buster says, I have Nubian goats, and their milk is good. Good. Silver Creek, you're laughing that crows have an accent. Yeah, they're different species. And actually, I mean, that's a good point that, like, so different, there are different dialects within species. So, like, scrub jay is something that, we have California Scrub Jay. They just changed the name to California Scrub Jay instead of Western Scrub Jay, I think. And that goes, their range actually extends quite far. But if you're in a different region, this happens with wildlife rehab places, that someone's on a trip and they picked up an injured thing and they drove until they got where they were going, and then they found a rehab place and they give it there, and maybe they don't have exact, oh, we picked it up somewhere over there. It's actually can be dangerous for that individual to be released into an area where it has a different dialect, because birds are, or can be, not accepting of birds that are not speaking the same language as them. So it is important, if you do this, if you collect an animal and you're going to be dropping it off at a rehab center, tell them, mark down exactly where it came from so they can release it in the same general area. So that is important. There you go. All right. The link doesn't work for Mom's book. It doesn't work? All right. I'll get it directly. It worked to get me there. Maybe it's because I did both of them. See if that one works. That's the paperback. And you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. Just test the link for me. And that's the Kindle version. Let me know if it doesn't work still. We'll figure it out. Oh, work for Silver Creek. Which one did you click on, Silver Creek? Dawn says, I was going after fat quarters when I had that accident and fell. You're going to make a quilt? The fat quarters is that's a quilting term. Click the paperback link. It works. The first link does not work. Okay. The Kindle doesn't. I will have to... Interesting. It worked for me to get there. The Kindle doesn't. Let me see if it works for me. It gets me there. Maybe I have to actually put it in separately. Where'd you guys go? Here you are. Okay, Kindle. So I just copied and pasted that one in. So hopefully it works. And it works for me. Let me know. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Silver Creek says, oh, I believe it, talking about the bird. They have more vocal capabilities than a polyglot. Yep, they are actually, I don't know if you know this, but polyglottis is the species name for the mockingbird, northern mockingbird. Glottis is the thing back here. Because it can say a lot of different things. Yeah. Steve says, it's because my mom's cook? Oh, did I? Oh, my mom's book? I don't know. Anyway, hopefully it works. If it doesn't, you know what to search for. Fat Quarters is the name. And thank you, Verna. Both work now. Okay. It must have been something in my copy paste. I tried to copy and paste it all at once, and maybe it only it only accepts the first link instead of 2 links. That could be it. Stop putting more in. Steve's getting frustrated. Sorry. Don says, yes, I was into quilting. I had to quit after the fall. I can't stand up to iron the seams, etc. After I get legs, I can do that. So much to do when I get new legs. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. My mom made me 2 t-shirt quilts And so like I have so many t-shirts, guys. I mean, you collect them for everything, right? But one of them is mostly volleyball related, and the other one is like drama and because I did a lot of drama in high school, drama, and I think there's some stuff from my college stuff in there too. But she's made a couple of them for me that are t-shirts, and that's a really good way to preserve something that someone has memories with, but also get rid of the t-shirt. Right? We all know what I'm talking about. Oh, JJ's laughing. I don't know who you're laughing at. That's okay. Oh, I didn't leave a space between the link. Oh. Okay. Well, it's working now. JJ says, because of small space at my other home, I used a mini ironing board about 3 feet long and set it on a table and used a travel iron. That might help. Interesting. So you just miniaturized the whole thing, which makes sense because you don't need a full-size ironing board for the little squares, which is awesome. Awesome idea, JJ. That is awesome. You too hyper to quilt, but I like to draw. Yeah, I started a quilt and it's all the stuff is in a box and it's in the closet. I haven't gotten back to it, but yeah, I wanted to hand do it, and it takes a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time right now. Oh boy. So, I would like to know what you guys are growing. This is the topic. What you guys are growing this year for the first time. Are you trying something new, or do you plan to try something new? Because um, it's always good to try at least one thing new or a new way of doing things in your garden. So let me know if you're growing something new or something in a new way. And I want to hear about what your expectations are, and then later we'll ask about success later. I mean, unless you've already had success, then hey, you're going fast. Something I am trying is nasturtium in the front, not in shade. And I still have not put it in the water, but it's doing okay. But I do want to see if I water nasturtium regularly, does it do okay in the sun, like going over a trellis? Because wherever it has been successful for me before has not been in like beds. It's been really only one spot, and that's been on near the front porch, right there in the shade. And I really, really like it, but that really, really limits where it is, and it doesn't get enough sun to get like big. So that is my test this year. I'm also doing chayote squash on the same trellis, and hopefully they both do well and strive and survive and strive to survive and survive and do well. So that is my new thing. Let's see. Do I have any other new things? I think that's it. I did plant the Mexican gray zucchini, which is not new to me, but I have not planted it before. So I've eaten it before. I just haven't planted it before. But I expect that it's likely to grow like other zucchinis. That's a variety that's new to me. I'm also have a few cucumber varieties that are new to me. And I'm planting cucumbers in a bed that I have never planted cucumbers in before. So that's also going to be a little bit of a trial, which is good. And I think I planted it in every, well, all except for 2 of the other beds in the back. Yeah. Um, yeah, JJ says, Dawn sounds like a ton of extra work that could wear anyone out. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Veronica says, I am growing things I haven't grown in years. And the new way is using the 2 green stalks. Yep. Green stalks are great. Caraway is another thing that I haven't grown before. And green stalks are great. And as long as you water them consistently and fertilize consistently, which I'm really bad. I should rephrase this in a positive way. I am still learning to do this regularly, and it needs to happen because the plants would do better if they're watered regularly. Growing in containers is something that is vastly different than growing in the ground. When you grow in the ground, you have some protection from the heat, you have some protection from, moisture differences and all of that, because the ground kind of evens things out and it shelters the roots more and all of that. So if you have a container, they can dry out more. They can lose a lot more nutrition because there's not any input into the system except for what you do. When it's in the ground, I mean, you have worms, you have insects, you have all the stuff that's moving material back and forth. So it does get more nutrition than a container does. So there are certain things with containers, and of course, in a container, if this is your first time growing in a container, you do need drainage holes, and they do need to be appropriately either sized or amount for the container. I grew 2020 or 2021. I grew potatoes, a bunch of them, on the driveway in containers. And one of the containers that I used, two of the containers I used was some old cement sinks. And they did great. They did really great. And then one of them did a whole lot better than the other one, because the one, as it being a sink, it has one drain hole. Well, that drain hole got plugged, but it still got watered. And that was the stinkiest thing I've ever dug up, because all of those potatoes that were in there, and I could tell, oh, this one is this big. That's awesome. But it's mush and stinky, and man, rotten potatoes are one of the worst smells, guys. So yeah, those are some tips for that. All right. Going up here. Don says, we tried to transplant the tomatoes and basil over the weekend. The dirt was still too wet, and now it rains 2 days on, 1 day off for another week. Oh no. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been there. That's where I was this spring. I didn't plant. I had the seeds out. I was going to get there, and I'm like, it's raining. It keeps raining. And I did plant, actually. I planted peas, and then they all didn't come up. I've done that several times where I plant peas and it just is a wet year and everything rots in the ground. Every once in a while, I'll have a pea volunteer the next year, but I think most of them actually rot in the ground. Yeah. All right. Verna says, last year the nasturtiums did better in shaded areas for me. Yes. So that has been my truth, but I have not actually done it where I pay attention to them. I've just left them to the watering, that, the cycling of the water. And I think being in the front yard, they get morning sun. I guess here's the other thing. This is the only other area in the front yard that I've tried. When I've tried before, it's been in the backyard. Backyard's hotter because it gets more of the daytime sunlight. So it would get some afternoon shade. I mean, it's on the low side, right, when it's later in the day. But it's my experiment. It's going well so far, but we haven't had super duper heat yet. So, and I need to put in the water. All right. But I love nasturtiums. They're so tasty. Steve says, we are trying all container gardens this year. We cut IBC totes in half to make 2 containers. We'll see. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Did you put holes in the bottom, like drain holes? Something you could do with those is you could make a wicking bed, which you don't want holes in the bottom, and make a wicking bed out of. And I have 2 friends that made wicking beds that have been really, really successful. It's so funny because one of my friends, she sent me a picture. She's like, look what you inspired me to do. I'm like, what? Oh, it's a wicking bed. I haven't done that, but you're welcome. Wicking beds can can do really, really well. Actually, I know three of my friends that have done that. And they can do really, really well as long as you design them right. So that might be something to look into. If you have access to IBC totes, it might be something to look at. All right. Don says, I have some new kinds of sweet peppers I started, and he will plant out when they get large enough. Awesome. Awesome. I tend to go hot peppers, sweet peppers. Like if they are bell peppers or bell pepper relatives, that bell pepper smell, like you can know that it's there. Bell pepper and I don't get along. It's pretty nasty. Yeah, nasty tasting burps. You don't want to be near me if I've had bell pepper. Do not feed me bell pepper if I come to your house. And that's my argument for, if you're a guest in my house and you don't like something I'm serving, I am completely fine with you saying, I don't really like this. That's fine. That's fine. I have no problems with that. I do have a problem if you've requested something and then say that. That's a problem. But if it's something you don't like, I much prefer people to enjoy what they eat instead of be nice, about my feelings. Like, no, I'll make you something else, or we'll have something else that's good. So that's my thoughts on things. I know that's not the traditional thought, but there you go. Especially if it's going to cause you issues later. All right. Rena says, all my tomato plants are mortgage lifters because you had so much success last year. Now, I wish you luck on that because I have done that before where I've really liked, it was Cherokee Purple. And then one year I planted mostly Cherokee Purple and then they didn't do good that year. So I like to diversify in certain types of things like tomatoes. I like to diversify, and I always support the ones that come up and volunteer. I mean, we have some that volunteer in the back, and I'm going to let them grow. That's not the tomato bed, but it might be a really good thing they came up because I did plant heat tolerant tomatoes last year and I did not plant them this year. So I'm guessing those are heat tolerant tomato babies. And if it's hot, we'll have tomatoes. Yeah. JJ says, new plant is hulless oats. They are about 1 foot tall. Oh, JJ, I was going to ask you about that. The seeds that you gave me, I don't know when to plant them. That's probably too late, huh? Yeah. Don says, oh, I have a new tomato. Granny's throwing tomato. Is that the name of it? Where did you get that? I'm picturing it to be round and about that big. Is that the legend? I want to hear the story behind the name of this tomato. Granny's throwing tomato. Oh boy. Only a tiny plot. Okay. JJ, how you said they're 1 foot tall. How many square feet do you need to plant to get a bowl of oatmeal? I'm just curious, and if you even know that. I had the same question about how much land does it take for a loaf of bread and how much land does it take for a t-shirt? Because cotton is like this big. There you go. Yeah, it does sound really cool, Dawn. I agree. PJ says, I'm just going to scatter the seeds on the garden that the pigs were in last year. That sounds wonderful. Chaos gardening. Chaos gardening works sometimes. Especially the pigs were in there. They probably already have seeds from what they were eating. Yeah. JJ said, if they ripen before QuailCon, I'll send sample seeds. Awesome. And Dawn says, hydroponics is so much easier than dealing with the dang weather outside. You have the sweet spot there. I mean, you have a controlled system. You know what's going into the system. I'm going to guess your pest pressure is close to 0. And if it's not, then close the door and get some ladybugs. I don't know. But yeah, that is good. And JJ says, sounds about the same as I do, PJ. then transplant them later for spacing. That's also a good idea. That's also a good idea. Dawn says, "Oh, I bet I can grow nasturtiums indoors in hydroponics." I bet you can. They don't do well in my heat in the summer, but I bet they would inside. Yeah, so mine typically don't last all summer in the shade, but I also don't water them. And so that's the thing is these are going to get water, and there's the big climbing ones. So hopefully they'll like shade their own self, and I have some of the non-climbing ones that will hopefully shade the roots. So I have plans, but I don't know. I don't know. Dawn says hot pepper and I don't get along. There you go. There you go. PJ says, Katrina, good thing you didn't try my pizza. Yes, I saw the peppers on there. Yeah. Nope. Nope. Not doing that. And Verna says they will do great inside. I think they would be wonderful, especially if they can hang. Because it is, depending on what kind you get. So nasturtiums, they either are shorter. There's like 3 different lengths. So like short, and then there's like a medium kind of straggly thing. And then there's some really, really long ones that can just take over the world. And they're really good. I am going to do a taste test before the heat comes of the different kinds. And I don't even know. I have the, so I have the video of when I planted them. So I guess I can guess at what I'm eating, what varieties. But I don't know that I'm going to be accurate on that. But they do taste different. I know there's Empress of India is coming to mind, and I think that one is a really good, like, spicy, flavorful one. Yeah. But these are some ones that I haven't grown before. The long one is one I haven't grown before, the yellow, and it's good. It's not as strong as the other one, but it's still good flavor. But I'll do a taste test. It'll be fun. All right. JJ says I got my first blister from gardening today for the year. I felt so proud. Congratulations, JJ. Yeah. Rita says, I still have to plant some cherry tomatoes seeds as well as beets, radishes, and carrots. That's good. It might be getting late for beets and radishes, at least here. Maybe not for you. Yeah. Dawn says, I'm looking right now on Baker Creek. So Baker Creek is rareseeds.com. I'm just letting you guys know because they're good people. I let my hydroponics go down a little because so much goes outside. That makes sense. Yeah. Verna says, I've never grown carrots, beets, and radishes. Okay. It's the first time for everything. Carrots I've done really well with, and I've done really horrible with. So the key to carrots is keeping them moist enough before they sprout, because they are surface sown. Like, they're just like, you put them down and you go like this on the soil, and then that's planted. Yeah. Beets will do well, especially if you soak them. So I would soak them the night before and then plant them. And then radishes, you just plant. Yeah. Don says, Katrina is like from the 1800s and is called Granny's throwing because they fit perfectly in the palm of the hand. That's what I was doing. Kind of big teardrop shape. They threw them at politicians they don't like. But how do they taste, Dawn? That's the point, right? Or are you growing tomatoes specifically to throw at people? Please say no. Oh, JD says interesting. Yeah, interesting. Um. Oh, Steve is giving me, is this wheat flour? 1/3 of a cup per square foot. That's actually pretty high. That's pretty high. Because that's about what I got for about this many acorns. All right. Um. 0 pets faster. What Dawn says, you got it, Katrina. 0 pets faster than in dirt. Something grows so fast like lettuce, you don't need to wash it, eat it clean. Oh, pests, not pets. Yeah. Yeah. So with your hydroponics, it works. Yeah. Wheat, 10 square feet for a loaf of bread. I should just ask things I want Steve to Google for me. that should be a session. That should be a live. Thank you, Steve. I do appreciate it. I know I'm teasing you. JJ says, this is for the rice. Soak rice seeds overnight and then plant them in a pot. They will come up fast. Awesome. 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 Very cool. Thank you. Oats is a foot or two is near enough for a regular bowl of oats. That's from Steve. All right. Thank you, Google, he says. JJ says, I figure I'll get oatmeal cookies and extra seeds from an 8x5 plot. That sounds good. I mean, might be better if you could grow oatmeal cookies. No, that sounds really good. I've not grown grains. Is that true? Is that true? I think I grew quinoa one year, but not very many plants. So it basically, in general, I haven't grown grains yet. Yeah. Where it says, JJ, that is what I'm doing with all my peas and beans that I am guerrilla planting. There you go. Dawn says $3.50 for 15 nasturtium seeds. Wow. I'll check Etsy, I think. And Brenna's saying, Dawn, try Dollar General. Yeah, so they are expensive. However, if you plant them, you can collect as many seeds as you want and be totally like, your return on that is going to be so high. Especially, they put out a lot of flowers. They put out a lot of leaves, so they're going to put out a lot of food for you. And nasturtiums in general, I mean, you'll see even if it's a big seed pack, it's only going to be like that full. So, but yeah, try different places. Again, different varieties do taste different, and it is a medicinal plant as well. People have it during cold and flu season, and you guys are welcome to look up the benefits of that. And it's a good plant, though. It's tasty. It makes really good quesadillas. You do a quesadilla with cheese and nasturtium. Throw in some garlic chive. That's good. Good stuff. JJ says, ooh, very smart, Verna. You might want to try mustard greens too. They grow fast and make good soup or cooked greens while young. Awesome. And I would say Dollar Tree, Dollar General, those type of places, you're going to have mixed results, or you could have mixed results with the seeds that you get from those type of places. Often they will sell seeds that are super duper old because a lot of them don't know any better, but also because it's something that they can sell. And for those, look on the back of the seed packet. I happen to have a seed packet right here because I'm me. And this one says, packed for 2021, sell by 12/31/2021. And that doesn't mean the seeds are bad. That just means that's when they were packed and that's when they're sold for. So if you are needing to do something where you're like, oh, I'm just going to grab whatever seeds there are and try it, check the date, check the date. Certain things last longer than others, but if they're super old, maybe don't buy them from there. If they're not super old, then it's fine. But that's something to be cognizant about when getting things from places like that as far as seeds. The other thing is often in their trucks, according to the peeps that I saw at Dollar Tree, which we're not having that discussion again, guys. I mean, and their sad little melted faces. Sometimes their stuff is in very hot trucks for long enough time that it might affect the seeds. So there's my little caution sign. Dawn says, I'd have to have hubby risk it. Can't go to stores. Yep. Give him a list and bring a phone. Mustard greens grow wild around here, Verna says. There's a lot of things that do. Yeah. Dawn says, Katrina, they taste good. People told me. Ha ha. I got them from the tomato group. Swap. We will find out. Well, if not, maybe don't throw them at people. That's not what we mean by multi-purpose, Dawn. Steve says, do you eat those tomatoes before or after they are thrown? Would they be like stewed tomatoes after thrown? You know, I mean, smashed tomatoes, right? Like smashed potatoes. Oh my gosh. Things I don't know, I have to find out, so I share. That is good. I am perfectly good with that, Steve. Dawn says, she's laughing at Steve. They look really good, and the ones that have grown and kept the seeds, they say are good. I have 2 other kinds for outside. This is for fun. I liked the name. Yeah, I've bought things before because I like the name. That's for sure. Yep. It's all in a name, right? I mean, that's why tangerine is now called mandarin. You guys know that? Yeah. It's the same thing. They just decided to rebrand it. Cuties. Yeah. That's all in the name. Are they actually cute? I don't know. I also am not too sure about the people who grow them. Well, in California anyway. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Steve says, if I buy garlic bulbs at the grocery store in the fall, can I plant them the next year's harvest? Yes, you can. So the only thing to caution against that, so I would plant them when they start growing or before they start growing, right? So don't just let them sit there and think that you're going to plant them later, because they will literally either start growing and then die because they don't have anything to support them, or they will get not mushy, but you can squeeze them and there's like air. So either do it before they start growing, or when they start growing, you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to eat this anymore, which you totally can. They have a little bit more bitter, but they're fine when they start growing. But yeah, you can totally take them, plant them in the fall. Where I am, that is what we do, to plant them in November. You can plant them after winter. I would look up in your area when it's appropriate to plant them, because I'm not as familiar as planting in areas with snow, but I think people still plant them in the fall. So my recommendation, plant them in the fall or whenever your Google search tells you to plant them, and realize that, number one, it's not a seed garlic. So if it's not a seed garlic, it may carry a disease. And there is something called white something fungus, maybe? White garlic fungus? I don't know. Steve is going to check me. But there is a disease or a fungus, I don't remember what it is, that can be in both garlic and ginger in the store. And it has no effect on us. It has no effect on its edibility. It has no effect on like how good it is for you. It's a disease of the plant. That's why people generally say not to do that, is there's a potential that it could have that. And when that happens for garlic specifically, you should not grow in that same ground for garlic. Like, you shouldn't plant garlic there for like it's several years if that ground becomes infected with that, whatever it is. So that's one cautionary, but you can totally do it. I have done it, and it works successfully. Another thing with garlic, if you are growing garlic and you planted it in the fall and it's going to grow all the way here, we harvest in June. It grows a lot of time, and you're like, oh, I really need garlic. I'm just gonna go get some from the garden. It's not like chives where you can just cut it and take it. It's not like some of these other things, like a lettuce. Oh, it's not quite done growing, but I'm just gonna take a few leaves off the side. If you dig for garlic when the garlic is not done growing yet, you will not get a clove or a bulb of garlic. You will get a long piece of like greenery. And the reason why is garlic. This is going to become a talk on garlic, guys. Garlic, the clove. So there's one clove that you plant. So if you get a head of garlic, you want to break it apart. And I do have a video on planting garlic. You want to break it apart and plant each clove individually. And each clove will become its own head of garlic within a season. They're pretty impressive that way. And so when you do that, you're planting a piece of the stem. If you notice, the bottom side of a head of garlic has roots, right? So the garlic part that we eat is not a root. So people mistake that with the same thing for onions. They're not a root. The roots come off the one end. And what both garlic and onions are is a modified part of the stem of the leaf. So when it's growing, when it's getting all its energy, when it's getting all this stuff ready, it's all green from root all the way to the tip. And it's growing, getting energy, doing good things. And then when it starts to say, oh, I think I'm done now, it's getting a little hot for me. I think I'm going to senesce. So senesce is die back. Then all that energy that's in that greens go into the modified stem and get stored. And so that is stored energy. It's literally like an energy shot, right? It's stored energy in the actual stem of the plant or stem of the leaf that gets stored until next year. And if you do not dig those up, next year you will have garlic unless it rots in the ground, like if it has a lot of rain or something. And so I learned that because I went out and I was going to get a piece of garlic. Oh, I don't need to go to the store. I'm growing garlic. And I dug down and I'm like, there's no garlic. Now, can you eat the tops of them? You absolutely can. You can cut that and you can cut up and it tastes like garlic because it is garlic. But that's a good question there, Steve. Little sidetrack about garlic. You might be able to still get some now, depending on your climate, but it does like to be planted in the colder times. And then it's one of the first things that comes up, and then it has that long growing season. And then I think a week or two before you are going to harvest it, you're supposed to shut off the water. I never do that because mine are all in the same system. But there you go. Good question. Good question. JJ says, same here to Verna. What did Verna say? I forgot. Oh, mustard greens. They escaped from the farmland. Exactly. Yeah, and Erica says, yes, Steve, that's where my garlic came from. And Dawn says, what are you eating? The flowers, leaves, and the quesadillas? Both. So the nasturtiums, every part of the plant is edible. I don't know about the roots, but every other part for sure is edible. And the leaves taste very similar to the flower, and the flower is much more flavorful. And I've done both. I mean, I use the flowers because they're more. So you can eat the seeds if you want. When they're green, when they're brown, they're really hard, so I wouldn't even try. But they are super, super good. And so if you have had papaya seeds, that's what nasturtiums taste most similar to. If you like papaya seeds, you can eat the seeds of papaya. It's the only part of the papaya. It's the only part of the papaya I like. But yeah, you can eat a lot. Yeah. And Verna says, I always look at the date on the seed package. Absolutely. Doesn't mean they're expired. It's not an expiration date. But depending on how old it is, some of those seeds may have expired. Yeah. Yep, and Verna's saying to Dawn, you can eat both. You can absolutely. Verna says you can always sprout them on a damp paper towels and see which are good. You could, but I mean, like we said, I mean, they are somewhat expensive per seed, but it's still cheaper than buying them already planted. It's still cheaper than that. And again, if you get name varieties that are super, specific, then that's another story. Yeah, you were wondering what I was putting in those to eat with cheese. Either one. I like to do the flowers more. I tend to eat more of the flowers than the leaves. And I did dehydrate some of those a few years ago. And I plan to freeze dry some this year. I just haven't done it yet. Next up for freeze drying is eggs, because I've been collecting them and it's time. It might be past time for some of the eggs. Yeah. Steve says dollar stores are notorious for putting stuff back in the warehouse and bringing it out again next year. When you see the Easter candy in the warehouse in November. Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes they're like already sun faded. Yeah. That's why I wanted to give that warning. I mean, it's not saying that, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying be cautious about what you buy. Yeah. Dawn says there is a game we play in the tomato group of all weird names and who has the seeds. Monkey butt is a real tomato and quite good. Okay. There we go. I modified that word. Verna says I planted my garlic too soon in the fall and they didn't come up yet. Okay. And you guys got quite a bit of rain. So the only thing about planting it in the fall is if you have a super, 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 super wet winter, they can actually like drown and not, mold, become one with the soil again. So planting them in good drainage is good. Same thing with saffron, anything that's a bulb, good drainage is a must. JJ says, so true, Steve. When I have been totally broke, dollar store supplied a ton of seeds for tons of food. Germination rate isn't always the best. I've grown tomato from 12-year-old seeds, so worth a try. Absolutely. Yep. And there's always a way to grow them cheap. I mean, if anything, you can get a tomato from, I mean, I haven't done this, but I believe if you were to go to McDonald's and get a hamburger, you have a slice of tomato on there, you could probably take that tomato slice, get the seeds out of it, and plant that. I mean, is it going to be a wonderful tomato? Probably not. Is it going to be better than the one that was on your hamburger? Yes. So that is something that, I mean, I'm not advertising McDonald's at all. I have not been in there in a long time. But that is the level that for tomatoes. Tomatoes you can take from a salad. You get a salad you go out to a restaurant and get a salad. Any of that. And tomatoes will survive through a worm compost. So if you have worm compost and you've had tomatoes in there previously, you're like, oh, I just cut off the top and there's a few seeds there in there. There is a high chance that you will get tomato seeds popping up, and take that as a blessing, not a curse. Yeah. Lots of things with tomatoes specifically because they are easy to start and all they really need to do is rot somewhere. Yeah. Garlic that has been, this is from Steve. Garlic that has been left for too long without being used can start to grow fuzzy patches of white or dark colored mold and should be disposed of. Exactly. JJ says they should be up by now. Sounds like a squirrel got to your garlic. Could be. I have plants that just stay all year. It could be, or it could have rained too much. We've had bluebirds hanging out. I noticed this when I was talking with the kid that was weeding for me in the alleyway, and he was weeding, and so apparently all the bugs were coming out because there is this pair, and I don't know where they're nesting, but I'm sure they are. There's a male and female bluebird, and I just saw the male bluebird out front, So I don't know where they're nesting, but they're cavity nesters. Sorry, something shiny. JJ says, so you already said that. Steve says garlic disease is a basal rot, Fusarium culmorum, white rot. See, there's a white one. Sclerotium cipovorum, downy mildew, Paranosospora. Destructor is the species name. Oh my gosh. Botrytis rot and Penicillium decay. So there's a lot of them. I didn't know it was a lot of them. I just knew that there was at least one. But yeah, that is the potential danger of introducing store-bought garlic into your garden, is that they don't care. They don't sell it for that reason. It's kind of one of those warnings, like, those warnings that's like, if you use this product for something it's not intended to, there might be consequences. It's the same thing. And the only things I've heard about, which it doesn't mean it's the only thing it's limited to, but only things I've heard about that with grocery store regrowing is garlic and ginger. In fact, let me go get something for you guys. All right, guys, I have brought props. So, this is an onion from a month ago that we used in our Cook With Me Live a month ago. Half an onion has been sitting on the counter. There's the roots. So I really should get this planted because it's growing. I don't grow onion generally because I don't use it. And when I do, I use like half of what it calls for. But I might stick that in the ground. I probably should. I mean, it's already growing a new bulb right here. And then this is something else that's growing from the refrigerator. So celery, this was nearly white. It was the inside part of the celery. And I just have it in the tiniest bit of water. So there's only water up to like there. And the roots growing yet? Yeah, there's a few roots growing, like right there. And like these little growths are new. That's new. So that's one way to do it. This literally only has like that much water in it. And so those are both grocery store regrows. Something that I bought specifically to grow from the grocery store because last year I spent so much on potatoes and none of them came up except for one came up this year. I don't know why this year. I think what happens is I put compost on that hadn't sat long enough, so I think it was way too much nitrogen and it just burned things. But I bought these for $2.99, and as you can see, they decided to chit. Ooh, this one's rotting. Okay, where is it? All right, that one's rotting. So we're gonna get to this soon. But as you can see, it's escaping the bag, and I do need to cut it out of the bag. I was going to cut these in half and chit them. Chitting, C-H-I-T, just means when you cut the potato. I can smell it now. I need to get rid of that one. When you cut the potato like in half and then let it heal over, and then what happens with that is you can, it'll start to grow. So it'll start to grow like that, and that when it starts to grow, it's called chitting. Okay, I do need to get rid of that. Well, two potatoes, but for $2.99. I mean, those aren't seed potatoes. They're just regular old potatoes. I think they might be organic. I don't even remember. Bite-sized potatoes. Well, some of them are big bites. I'm going to go put that somewhere not on the carpet. So regrowing things from the grocery store is totally possible, and some of them do it on their own. I haven't watered that at all. It's literally just been on the counter like that. I should do that. Good questions. Oh, yeah. Verna says, no, JJ, not squirrels. I made a mistake of putting quail wood chips on it. I think that killed it. So you either put it on too deep or maybe it was too much nitrogen, like I was just talking about with the potatoes. It's possible. It's possible. And you learn and you move on. Yep. Verna says, after you dry papaya seeds, you can treat it like pepper. Yep. Exactly. And Erica says the nasturtium roots are edible. That's good. I don't have a need to eat the roots unless it gives me something special, because there's enough for the plant that is good. But yeah, that's good. So all edible. Dawn says, I'm going by the size of the plant. I found 12 inches tall and 10 inches wide. And for 15 seeds for $4, I'll get them for a plant size, and I can have them in those nut jars. Yeah, all over. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and those are not the climbing ones, so those are going to be like the bushier ones. Yeah, and there's definitely two different types where one's bushier and one is this long, like trundling thing. Yeah. Ah, they're kind of pretty. Orchid cream. I just want them short enough that the lights won't be hot on them. That makes sense. That makes sense. Definitely let us know how that works, because they are tasty. They are tasty. JJ says, quail manure has vastly improved my garden, yet I have burnt a few plants. Exactly, and that's why there is still compost in my screen and porch. Also, time, but that is the reason why. I did mix it in for one of the green stalks. I haven't even done the other green stalk, guys. I mean, I did that video, and I haven't even done the other green stalk. I've been busy. But yeah, having it sit for 6 months is probably good. I don't even know when I did that. When did I do that? That was, let's see, my videos. Compost. Let's see when that was. That was December. So we're almost 6 months. Wait, no, that was a conversation. January. It was in mid-January. Yeah, almost 6 months. So, yeah. Oh, wood chips. Yeah, if you buried it too deep, it does need a little bit of encouragement, to get through that. And I think putting wood chips on after it's through is probably a good idea. Or, a better idea than before. And JJ says McDonald's is too expensive now. Inflation. Yeah, here in California, there's fast food stores. The wages went up for the workers there, and so everything's gone up, which is kind of funny because like prices now. Let's go to a fast food store or a fast food restaurant, or let's go to a real restaurant. Maybe for like $5 more, we'll go to a real restaurant and have better food and more complete diet. So it's getting like that here. Yeah. Erica says, 1 year when I was a kid, we had a bumper crop of tomatoes. So many they were going bad faster than we could process them. That's amazing. And here's the thing. If they go bad, they're going to rot on the ground. They're going to give you volunteers the next year. There you go. I didn't plant tomatillos. I don't know if I'm gonna get any volunteers or not this year, but it's I think the last couple of years I've gotten volunteer tomatillos. If I get volunteer tomatillos, we will let them live. If I don't get them, then I won't have them, which is okay. Yeah, even more expensive in California. Yeah. Yep. That's everything though. Erica says, we tossed the bad ones in the compost and got many volunteers next year. We didn't have to put any in the garden. Absolutely. Yep. Verna says, you can do the same with carrots, but it will not grow the carrot, only the greens. So, so if you replant them, so like if you had a carrot and you cut it off the top and here's the top, you can regrow it and you can regrow the greens, which are edible. Carrot greens are edible. They're not the tastiest of the greens, but they are good for you. And you can make them tasty. So there you go. Oh, you're saying good night, Dawn. Good night, Dawn. I am so happy that you are in such a good recovery mode, and I encourage you to continue, because it looks like you're doing awesome. So have a good night. Steve says, all my extras in the refrigerator grow with a fuzziness on them. I don't think I should plant them. Probably not. No. And you don't give that to your animals or your worms either. So just toss them. Everybody's saying good night to Dawn. Yeah, Buster says good night and take care and keep improving. Absolutely. And JJ says those onion roots will grow decent decent green onions for cooking. Yeah, so you're talking about using the top here. Here's the thing, I won't. If you want to come to California and take this, you can. I will probably plant it, and if it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yes, you are correct. You can grow the greens and have them be green onions, which I think are nasty. So I won't do that. I use onions so rarely in cooking. In fact, I think the only onions I have bought in the past year have been for a couple things for the Cook With Me Live. Like soups, I think they're both soups. I don't like onions so much. So I like them in salsa, like if you blend it all together, okay, that can be in there. In sauces and stuff, it's blended in. It doesn't taste like onion, it tastes like the sauce. But I was a little kid that if we got onion rings, I would take the onion out of the onion ring and eat the ring. that should tell you something about me and onions. There you go. Now you know more about me. Brenna says 3 layers of one green stalk is filled with sweet potato slips. That sounds wonderful. And I really am curious how that's going to turn out, because for those who don't know, the green stalks, even though it has like 6 pockets on a level, it's all one container. So I want to know like what you get out of that, because I'm very curious about that. Joe is here. Joe Rude Music. Welcome, Joe. I hope you're doing well. Hatching my second batch of quail right now. Currently about halfway through. The hatch just ending day 17. Awesome. Loving this journey. My first hatch was all mixed colors. This one's all pharaohs. That is awesome. Well, welcome to the quail community. We are very welcoming people and very helpful people. So I hope you are soaking up all the knowledge of all these people. And if you have any questions about quail or raising quail, I mean, you're welcome to ask in any of the comments, or any of the videos that come out. Put a question in the comments. I do look at those, and that is awesome. Are you growing in cages or aviaries? I have aviaries. Congratulations on the hatch. Yeah, Verna says, hey, Joe, good luck and happy hatching. And Buster says, congratulations also. Yes, absolutely. JJ says, it took me like 3 years to figure out how to grow garlic chives. Now I have beautiful garlic chive plants, and I'm not impressed with the flavor. I don't know why people love them so much. So the one that I have, the lady who sold me them called them Chinese chives. And it is a flat leaf. Is that what you have? Is it a flat leaf or is it a round leaf? Because they grow wonderfully. I'm trying to get them to naturalize in the yard. I'm not sure I'm being successful, but I've had a couple come up, but it hasn't been that many. Thinking I might have to start them. But they are delicious. The only thing I don't like about them, no, I like them. The only thing you have to consider about them is they are fibrous. So they do have a vertical fiber that goes with the leaf. And so if you're using them, you're going to want to cut them up or know that you're going to have to like, that. So yeah, they are wonderful. The ones I have are Chinese chives, taste exactly like garlic. Something else to know about those ones is put them on raw or at the very, very, very end of cooking. If you cook them, they're not going to taste like anything. It's going to be like grass. So there you go. There's my advice. Verna says you can grow the carrot greens for your rabbits and quail. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. JJ saying hi to people. Joe says, thank you so much. I've got lots of awesome colors from my first hatch. Pansy, sparkle, and goldens. I think some Tibetans too. Are Tibetans usually smaller a tad? Other people can answer this probably better than me, but all of the colors are going to be slightly smaller than the jumbos, and some of them are much smaller. So, like, I know the Egyptians and the Manchurian golden, whatever they are, those are a little bit bigger. But there are some smaller ones. So, okay, Verna's saying, yes, Joe, they are about the smallest. Tibetans and Rosettas are smaller quail. So, but they are also, I think, good layers. So that's good. And Steve says Tibetans do tend to be smaller at 8.7 to 9 ounces. There you go. JJ's asking if my giant tomato plant's still alive. So I had a tomato plant, I think, for 3 years. It was before I started YouTube. 3 years? 4 years? I don't know. And it lived right outside the front door, and I think it has finally perished. It never gave me tomatoes. It wasn't, I know it was a regular sized tomato. It wasn't a like a cherry type, because the cherry types have the flowers on like all together, and it would flower, but it never gave tomatoes. So I don't think it's still there. I will report back if it is. And it planted itself. So yeah, there you go. Sorry. Joe says, thanks for the info. I have 27 healthy chicks out so far with 43 eggs left in the incubator. If I get 20 more, I'll be pumped. The eggs are from eBay. Oh, wow. Awesome. 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 Well, the conversation today has been mostly plants. So anytime we have these, anything homestead related, let us know. We'll talk about it. I do have a lot of videos on quail and raising quail, and hopefully you've delved into them. If you haven't, there are a lot of quail videos. There's a whole playlist on quail. So I encourage you for that, because there's so much to learn, and there's always things to learn. I'm learning. Everybody here is learning still. So that is awesome. And we all like to share experiences too, which is great. JJ says, I make a mean egg drop soup with ginger and green onions. Egg drop soup sounds good, minus the green onions. And Verna's saying that's what balut tastes like. So Verna did a balut challenge that is on her channel. She did 2 videos, I think, Verna, right? And she has that on her challenge, and she says what it tastes like and all that. JJ. Joe says, I am building an aviary for my pharaohs. The mixed color batch I have in a rollout, I just finished the other day. It's about 9 square feet, and I have 15 hens and 3 roos. 15 and 3 is 18. 18 divided by 3. You should be good. You should be good. Awesome. That is awesome. So I have aviaries, and aviaries are, in my mind, aviaries are the best way to raise them. You get, especially if you want to spend time with them and watch them do natural things, like that is definitely the way to go. So congratulations. I am actually making a course on raising quail in aviaries. I'm doing that through Quail University. They asked me to do a course. So definitely that's going to come out. We're shooting for like around Quail and Homesteading Con. That's what we're shooting for. And in the meantime, if you haven't taken Quail 101 course with Quail University, here is the link, and that's an affiliate link, so I get a little credit. And it is an amazing course. And I mean, you can scour the internet and get all that information, but this is all in one spot. And you can go to different sections and learn about the different things. You don't have to do an order. You do it, in your own time, and it's awesome. So I highly recommend doing that, especially if you're new to quail. And Jay says, yes, it's the flat leaf garlic chive. Yeah, I think the key with that is to not cook it, or to just put it on at the very, very, very end. Like, it doesn't take that long to heat up if you want it hot, Yeah. But it is very tasty. Verna says 9 square feet cage can easily hold 27 to 31 of the smaller quail. There you go. Did you ever get the idea that Katrina's garden is from sloppy eating, spitting seeds out? Steve, that's where at least 5 apricot trees have come from, is throwing them into the yard or spitting them into the yard. It's okay. I'm okay with this. I mean, I'm not a sloppy eater. Throwing seeds out and throwing the pits out, that's fine. I actually love that things will grow. And I mean, judging by the number of pits I did spit out there, it's a very small percentage that start on their own. But you're funny. You're funny. Everybody's laughing at you, or with you, probably. At least most of the trees. Most of the volunteer trees. Now, I do know that one of the peach trees is volunteer over on the fence probably was planted by a squirrel, because my neighbor has an Alberta peach on the other side of the fence, and there's a squirrel that used to sit on the fence and eat peaches. So I'm guessing that's where that came from. I have a couple more peach trees that are volunteers that could be a pit from me or something else. Yeah. Did I plug Quail University? Yeah, I just did. I know. You said that before I did. Thank you, Steve. Joe says, thanks, Vay. I've definitely seen your quail videos. That's what brought you to your channel. Take care. It's getting late here in Michigan. Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck. And we do this every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So that's a few hours different than you. But have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming. Oh, Verna put the link here too. Thank you. All right. JJ says, good night, Joe. Hope to see you again. Absolutely. And Verna says, late here too. I'm in Ohio. Absolutely. She says, Joe, have a great night. How you enjoy your hatch. Electric is back on. Yay. My internet was out this morning. So there you go. They never told us why. Congratulations, Buster says to you for your electricity. That's awesome. Just in time to turn it off. Oh my gosh. So I want to know if you guys saw the Northern Lights, and I shared this actually, I think I have it on here. I shared this in the Week in Review, but I was like in bed watching everybody else's stuff come in on Facebook, and saying, oh, look at all these things. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm like way too far south. And what happened is, on the maps of everything, like all the maps showed California, Oregon border as being the farthest south. And that was the farthest south it was going to get. And there's no point in me even looking outside, right? Well, I decided at midnight after one of my friends just north of Sacramento, which is in California, not at the Oregon border, that he posted something. I'm like, what? What? And so I went out, and luckily I went out in the front yard. I wouldn't have seen it if it was in the backyard, but I did see. I'm going to share this window. This. So you might have to dim your lights to see it. But that little pink right there, that is what I saw looking northeastish. So that was my excitement. It was a whole lot better to watch other people's pictures. But I then went up to Dinosaur Point Road, which locals will know where that is, but it's, up on top of the mountains over this way. And there was like 3 cars there. And it was gone by then. And so the next night, last night before, Saturday night, I went up and did the same thing because it was supposed to be visible again, and it wasn't visible at this level here. But there was tons of cars out there because I think the first night people were like, we're not going to see it because it's like miles and miles, 100 miles up there. And then people were like, oh, wow, people saw it. And then there was tons of cars up there and somebody's smoking outside and it's nasty and I have the window open. Anyway, I will unshare that because it's not as impressive as other people's. Oh boy. JJ says, we have too many field mice and snakes to have an aviary. I have 1/8 inch, not 1/8 inch, that would be tiny. I have 1/2 inch hardware, the whole thing and buried and on top and everything. And it's been pretty good. And Silver Creek's excited about his electricity. But you did see the lights. That's good. Verna didn't see anything. Steve saw clouds a few miles north of him. They had clear skies and got to see. Oh, you didn't drive? Yeah, I have a friend in Alaska, and I'm like, oh, you need to record this tonight. And then he's like, it's light now. I'm like, oh yeah, summer started in Alaska, and they don't have nighttime anymore. So they didn't see it either. JJ says, I will try garlic chives again with less cooking. Try with no cooking first. Try with no cooking. Because, like as a garnish, put it on top. Because that's going to give you the best flavor. David says, hi, David. Were you lurking? Welcome. David says, no on the Northern Lights. Not visible here due to hills in the area. That's why I went up. Because I could see it. And I was like, oh, but I need to go up. Buster didn't see it. JJ said, I didn't know what I was looking at when the sky started to turn colors. I don't want to. Oh, so you didn't know you were that it was even forecast. Hey, at least you saw it. Verna says, I see that a lot. It's usually just light pollution here. This was definitely pink. It's a pink that is not like sometimes you get that orangey light. This was definitely not that. Considering it wasn't there next time I went outside or the next night or any of that. But yes, sometimes you do get kind of that orangey color above cities. Steve says you could see them with clear skies as far south as about 50 miles south of Memphis, Tennessee. There are reports of them being seen in San Diego. Yeah, Southern California. Yeah. David says, we processed 2 of our chukar partridge and had them for supper tonight. They were great, about the size of a good-sized Cornish hen. That is awesome. I've had chukar once, I think. Well, multiple times in a one time span. When I was a volunteer biologist up at Heart Mountain National Antelope Refuge in southeastern Oregon, the manager there was a falconer, and he had a gear falcon and a prairie falcon, I think. And he had a chucker a colony, I guess, that got out of control with their breeding. So he had a dinner one night, and we all got to try chucker, and they were tasty. Yeah. JJ says, glad you got to see the Northern Lights, even though it was small. Yep. Now, they said the last one was 2005, the last big one. And I did see them in 2005. I was in Iowa, and I saw them from an empty cornfield that had been, it's stubbled. And it was red there. And it was, you lay down and look up, and it's all red moving around. And I've seen them in Alaska, and it was mostly green with a little bit of purple in one area. So I have seen them a lot better than this, but this is the first kind of pinkish color. So yeah, they're really neat to watch. Yeah, they dance. Here it wasn't dancing; it was just color. But my parents saw them from Oregon. They saw like the purple and the green, and so the pictures of that they sent me, and yeah, that was pretty cool. So, yeah. Man, we ran around with all our topics today, didn't we? I was saying, what are you planting that's new? And we got off on garlic and growing things from the grocery store and all sorts of stuff. That's why I like these chats, though. You guys bring up fun things that we get to talk about. Yeah. Yeah. So something funny, David, you'd say it's a good size, like a good size Cornish hen, is the Mexican grocery store around here. They call Cornish hens quail in Spanish. So in the English, it says Cornish game hen, and the Spanish, it's a Spanish word for quail. And I'm like, this is the most giant quail I've ever seen. It's not a quail, guys. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Erica says, I have a short video of the Northern Lights. I'll keep the video up if you want to see what happened in Ohio. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, feel free to post Northern Lights stuff on the Friends of Sow and Tare if you want to share. If you don't want to share, that's completely fine. And I will do so. Friends of Sow and Tare is that right there. And Erica says, I couldn't see them due to clouds, though I have seen them in the past when I lived in Montana. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, they're really neat to see. If you haven't seen them, I think it's worth going to a place that has like not just from a distance like my little picture, but when you're like under them and in them, it's very, very neat to see. I don't know what kind of radiation you soak up during those events, but there you go. Steve, you think the Mexican store was just confused? I think there's some things that get lost in translation, is what I think. And they don't have the same names for things, so they have to name it whatever is close. Cornish game hen, my understanding is it's a chicken, right? Isn't it just a smaller type of chicken? I might be wrong. I don't know. I know it's not a quail, though. JJ says, yes, I saw them in West Virginia in 2005, but they were very tiny, way up in the sky. Oh, what I saw in Iowa was red. Like, it was like dancing and like over us, red. Yeah. David says, do any of you use a chicken plucker? If so, what do you use? For quail, I have used a drill attachment plucker, and I think it works well. It makes a mess because, the feathers go flying. And so you do want to put the bird into hot water. I forget how long, 30 seconds? Something like that. and then do it. And so scald them first and then do it. And then the only thing is, if you're going to do that, it really is one bird at a time. It is kind of a slow process. So if you're doing a bunch, I would get a drum. But if you're doing just a couple that you at a time, I think it's fine. And now I skin. So I did that a few times, and now I skin. It's faster. It's easier. Yes, you don't get the skin, but it works for me. So something you consider if you do the drill attachment is to get one with a clutch so that you don't go too fast. And what you can do is you can then C-clamp it to a table, turn it on, have is it called a trigger in a drill? But have, tape that on or zip tie it on or whatever so it stays on. And then turn on and off a power supply. So like if you have a switch, that's my recommendation. Yeah. Yeah, Steve, that's not what they said. It was not that word. So, yeah. And again, there's Spanish and there's Spanish, right? There's a whole bunch of different kinds of Spanish. Spain Spanish is not the same as Mexican Spanish, which is not the same as some other countries' Spanish. And so I don't know what type of Spanish. I mean, it's Mexican grocery store, but yeah. Anyway. Okay, so David, David says we also have chickens, so drill might be cumbersome. So if you have chickens, you're not going to be using, this is my understanding, and you do your own research, but my understanding is you're not going to be using the same plucker for a chicken as for a quail, because the chicken plucker, the fingers on that are too harsh for the quail. They're different sizes. So that's my understanding. Other people can say different things and actually have experience with the chickens, but that is my understanding. My chickens are pets that poop breakfast. David says we also have, I just read that. JJ says hubby and friends went turkey hunting and it took 5+ grown men to butcher one turkey. Wait, they went hunting. It was dead, right? It took 5 of them to get it to that point or to process it. Interesting. Took all day. So what I've heard to do with turkeys, which is good, is to cover them in clay. And then I'm guessing you got them first, but I don't know if that's true or not. But cover them in clay, like feathers and all, and then put Steve says I think beer was involved. Could be. Put that underneath a fire. And so the fire is on top, and the fire will cook the clay, and it will cook the feathers into the clay, and then you crack it and you just break it off, and then all the feathers go with the clay. I've heard this is tasty and juicy and yummy, but again, that's like you're going to cook it that day. Here you go. We're going to put a link for a quail plucker. Thank you. Yeah, for the quail is just not worth it for me. If I were to get on like the bigger, like, okay, yes, I do want the skin on, I do want all this stuff, I would get a drum because for me, it's not worth the time it takes to do. It does a good job, the drill attachment at least. It does a good job, but it takes some time, and you want it going the right direction. And I think I did a video on this. I think I did. I don't know if it's in that one. It might be in my, did I do it in that one? Let's see. Harvesting Katrinix quail. I don't know if it's in there or not. Harvesting Katrinix quail is one that I did. It looks like I skinned them, so I probably didn't do them in that. Yeah. Britta's saying, yes, you did. Hold on and I will find. It might be in that video, but it might not be. I might have demonstrated it, but I know I videoed it. Whether or not it actually went into a video, I don't know. Thank you, Verna. JJ's laughing at Steve, maybe a little bit, but I know at least 2 of them don't drink. Okay. Okay. David says, yeah, I spatchcocked our quail and live without the skin. Yep. The skin is very good for you. It takes longer, and I mean, maybe it's sad, but I don't want to take the time. Yeah. But yeah, it's something there's a lot of nutrients that are very good for you in chicken skin. I'm guessing in quail skin too. I actually don't know that as a fact, but I'm just extrapolating there. And that's one of the things that's in chicken noodle soup. One of the things that's in chicken noodle soup that is very good for you is the skin, the part that's cooked from the skin. And that is that's something that's really, I don't remember what specifically it is about that, but there's something specific in that that's supposed to be really good for you when you're sick. So there is actually like studies about chicken noodle soup, and that has nothing to do with noodles, but chicken soup when you're sick, chicken broth when you're sick. I think it's something that's in the meat, but also in the skin. It's in the skin at a higher level, and I don't remember what that is. But there you go. There you go. Yeah, Steve says most of the fat in chicken skin is healthy, unsaturated fat. Yep. Yep. And I'm just trying to think of what that is. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, where were you in Iowa? We were in Des Moines, 96 to 2008. I went to school in Dubuque. So I went to University of Dubuque, Dubuque. And so I was there 2001 to 2005. Is that right? Yeah, because I graduated high school in 2001. So yeah, and then I was there for that, and then came to Oregon. I grew up in Oregon, and then I came to Oregon for less than a year and went out to Illinois in Macomb, which Steve has roots in. And there's a fabulous sandwich shop, and I still don't know the name of it. I need to actually look that up because I keep telling people about it. It's probably still there. And I was there for 2 years, but not in the summer. And then came back to California to do my master's. So there you go. Yeah, I'm familiar with parts of Iowa. And in Dubuque, I don't know. The school was fabulous. I did a dual degree in environmental science and biology, and so that was good. The school was good. Education's good. It was a very, very racist area, is my experience. Very racist, very religious, which I don't understand how those two things go together, but apparently sometimes they do. And I had some experiences with some of my friends that it was ridiculous level of racism in that area. So beautiful ecologically, the school was great. It is a town, city, whatever, that the saying is there's a church on every corner and there's a bar on every corner. It's almost true. So there you go. I don't know. There's my little experience. And I don't think that represents the whole state. That was my experience in that particular area. JJ says, took them all day to butcher the turkey that was killed first thing in the morning. It must have been the plucking then. It must have been. Yeah. I wonder if rigor mortis set in and then they tried to do it. That would make it make sense. Vern, I can't find it. I know I did it and I don't know what it's in. But yeah. I don't know. I don't even think you can search like drill It's weird. Like if I search on my own page, like if I search drill, it's gonna come back with nothing, even though I know I have drill attachment. Let's see, plucker 0. And see, I know I have some stuff in there. The search functions aren't always good. All right. But thank you for looking, Brenna. I do appreciate it. JJ says, I have seen the video where a chicken plucker tore up small birds like quail. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. I know it from not personal experience, right? So I know it from other people's experience. So definitely if you're getting it for quail, get it for quail. If you're getting it for chicken, get it for chicken. That's probably because the quail ones are probably not strong enough for the chicken ones. Erica says, I lived in Dubuque for a year, did not enjoy driving on those hills in the winter. Yeah. Did you find the 8-way stop? Because there's an 8-way stop. I think someone was drunk when they made the roads, for sure. Yeah, not even street light, like a stop sign, 8-way stop. Ridiculous. The museum's pretty cool though. Happy Face. I'm gonna call you. Hi, Happy Face. Welcome. Hey, I'm about to get into quail. I have turkey, duck, and chickens. Any tips? So, number one, are you growing in a cage or an aviary? That is the two questions. So, or one question. So they do not do well like chickens do free ranging. They don't really go home at night. They will sit on the ground. They don't roost. So you don't need a roosting bar. You don't need a coop. They don't go anywhere to sleep. So they will sleep on the ground and they will be just fine. I have them in deep litter. You're welcome to look at, I have a whole playlist all about quail. I recommend going through that and watching some videos to get your mind wrapped around what you need to do, what things you want to do, what you maybe don't want to do. So I would look at that. And number one is their food has to be right. So they have a much higher protein need when they are young. So once they're 0 to 8 weeks, they need a high protein starter. So like I feed mine the 27% turkey starter. So if you are already feeding, if you raise turkeys, you already have the turkey starter. What you're doing for turkeys is likely going to be fine for your quail for the starter. Start with crumbles. Don't grind it. Just use the crumbles as is. They will get big really quick, and not big. They'll get bigger really quick and be able to eat the bigger pieces later. Keep them from falling in the water. So if you have those other birds, it's likely that your waterers have that bigger base. You can still use that. Throw some pebbles or some marbles in there so they don't actually go in, fall in, get cold and wet, or drown. So that would be something. I'm just thinking about like what things you already have likely. When you hatch, put in some shelf liner material so that it's a non-stick surface. Even if you didn't have any problems with your chickens or other birds, thank you, Verna. Good night. Even if you didn't have any other problems with your chickens or other birds, then you might have problems with splay leg, because things that aren't slippery to chickens might be slippery to quail. I highly recommend, I'm going to put a link here. I highly recommend taking Quail 101 from Quail University. It's super cheap for the information, and it's awesome. It really, really is awesome. That's an affiliate link, my affiliate link. So I highly recommend that. And then once they've passed 8 weeks, they can eat whatever your chickens are eating. You're going to want to probably add calcium, or they're going to eat exactly what your chickens are eating. So whatever you're providing your chickens is fine for the quail after 8 weeks. And so I would think of them, as far as food wise, I would think of them as turkeys for the first 8 weeks of their life and chickens for the rest of their life. And I do aviary settings. Some people do aviaries, some people do cages. If you want to know more about aviary stuff, I have lots of information about that. And what else? How are they different? How are they different? Yeah, mostly just don't free range them because they're going to just be food for other things and they don't tend to go home. So let's see what other people say, and then we'll think of other things. They're wonderful to watch, and they're lovely little birds. I would raise on deep litter in an aviary is my recommendation, and that's what you'll see in all my videos. All right, high protein game bird food. JJ says yes, and Verna put the link for Quail University. Erica says, and no straight. Oh, you're not talking about that. You're talking about Dubuque. No straight roads for more than a few blocks. I told you they were drunk when they made the road system in Dubuque. Yep. JJ says sounds like Appalachia. I've never been there, but yeah. Good night, Verna. Happy Face says thank you, and I understand. I figured since they were small birds, they didn't need high protein, but this last 2 weeks I've spent planning, and I've just been constantly learning. Absolutely, absolutely. And go ahead and put my, go to my affiliate link on there for Quail 101. And what's nice about that is you can pick and choose what topic you want to learn about. So you don't have to go in order. If you have questions about whatever this topic is over here, there's a section there, and you can start with that if you want to. And you go at your own pace and all of that. It's a really good course. And then Quail University actually asked me to put together a course, which I'm working on right now, about raising quail in aviaries. So that will be coming up hopefully by Quail and Homesteading Con. Yeah. All right. David says stay safe, Verna. Absolutely. JJ says, I like to tease them about their turkey episode. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Happy says, okay, what week would you move them out? So where are you located and what is your weather? Those are two things to consider. So in the summertime, when the temperatures are a little bit warmer at night, you can move them out at 3 weeks old. Now, during the last week of those 3 weeks, you want to wean them off the heat. And depending on the temperature of your house or the temperature of your brooding area, you can start that weaning off the heat at I start at like 1.5 weeks when it's warm. When it's cold, I don't start it until, like 2.5 weeks. But you can wean them off the heat, start opening the window a little bit, get them used to it so it's not a shock. So if it's warmer, 3 weeks old. If it's colder, 4 weeks old. And even when it's 4 weeks old, if you're going to have a drop in temperature from where they've gotten used to having the window open and all that, I would wait until that goes away and then put them out. And so that is my advice. Yeah. And JJ says your turkey feed might be good enough. Check out Quail University. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did put the link for that. And David says My Shire Farms also has a bajillion YouTube videos on raising quail. Yep. So My Shire Farms and Slightly Rednecked have great videos. Verna, who just left, she used to have quail in her apartment. So if you want cage raising, like apartment setting, she does that. Yeah. Happy says, perfect. I'm excited to start. Absolutely. Louisiana. It's been humid recently, some rainstorms. Awesome. We have a couple viewers that are in Louisiana. I actually haven't seen them on here. Aaron and Christina from Guidro's Family Farm are in Louisiana. They actually have, they sell quail eggs. So if you haven't gotten eggs yet, you might want to go to them. Guidro's Family Farm. Actually, you know what I should do? I should get their website and put it right next to what I was putting there. And I mean, ordinarily, I would recommend My Shire Farm for eggs. But honestly, these guys they're very good people, very good birds, and they're MPIP. And so I would get your eggs from there if you're in Louisiana. Yeah, for sure. And they have all sorts of different colors and stuff too. Steve says 4 weeks to go outside is good, but for Louisiana, 3 weeks during spring and summer works. Yep. And JJ says humidity won't harm the quail, but best to keep the quail out of rain. Right. So there's three things you want as in your structure, whatever your structure is. You want it to be predator proof. And this may include a visual barrier. So like my aviary has like 2 feet of shade cloth along the bottom, and that acts as a visual barrier. The reason why I put it up is there was a quail that I believe had a heart attack because there was evidence that the cat, which is no longer around, I don't know where he went, but his name was not our cat because he was not our cat. My neighbor named him. And there was evidence that he was trying to go after a quail from the outside, and the quail thought it was trapped and it wasn't. I'm, of course, thinking that that's what happened. And so with that barrier up, it's going to make them feel safer, and it's going to give them kind of a shelter from predators, even though it's a visual thing. That can make them stop laying. If they see a predator walking past, it's very scary, and they're like, okay, I need to stop laying right now. So that's one. And then shade. So shade is very important in warmer areas, and also protection from the elements. So whether that's wind, which the shade cloth prevents the wind from coming that low. Yeah, so wind, rain, snow, all that stuff, hurricanes. But protecting them from those things is what you need to do. So that is my advice on that. And Happy says, perfect. I'm so excited to get into quail because every time I get a new breed, I always spend a few weeks planning, learning, and researching so I can be as educated as possible so I can give them the best quality of life. Awesome. Awesome. Definitely check out Quail University, and it will give you a crash course. And then, I mean, I'm here every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I forget how many hours that is for you, but I'm here every Monday. We usually only go till 8, but we're going late tonight. And we're a good community. If I know something, I give you answers. Everybody in the chat will also give you answers. Hopefully all our answers match up, but sometimes they might not, but it's a good community. So welcome. Welcome. And thank you, Steve, for putting that there. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Steve has some good advice. If you deal with Guido's Family Farm, ask for Lane. He has the best advice. He's the best little worker. David says, us old guys need our sleep. Be seeing you. Good night, David. Thank you for coming. And Tim, yes, you are late. That's okay. So I'm a little late today, but I made it. You missed a lot. We talked about a lot of things, TM. But welcome to the end. Happy says, I'm going to save both these links, and on payday, I'll get it. Awesome. Yeah, Quail University is worth the money for sure, and super affordable, and we're here to help. And yeah, Guido's Family Farm is the one to get eggs from, in my opinion. Just where you are, you're in Louisiana, it's not going to go very far. Yeah. Steve says they are top-notch people, and they will be glad to answer any questions you need as well. Absolutely. Happy says, y'all are just about the nicest people I've met while trying to research quail. Thank y'all. I'm going to head to bed, but I will drop a subscription and try to drop by frequently. Awesome. Well, welcome. We welcome you into the community. And I have tons of videos on quail. I have a whole playlist on quail. So check that out. And yeah, you're going to learn so much. Good night. JJ says, ooh, I'm lagging. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Steve says, that's okay, TM. We don't take attendance until 10:30 Central Time. Oh, boy. Yes. Also, good point. Happy if you haven't logged off yet. There is a Facebook group called Newbie Quail Lovers, and it is excellent assistance there and good people in that group. Yep. Also, one last question. Are newly hatched quail hard to care for? I know turkeys can be pretty iffy. So yeah, so I have a playlist. I think it's called Incubating Caternix Quail or I don't know what it's called. But anyway, there's a playlist that I have that follows that through that has a lot of the good information that you need for that. So I recommend watching that. But the answer is there's some things you can do to make your life better and to make your success better for these things. Number one is to put a non-slip surface, such as a cabinet liner, in your incubator so they don't get splay leg. If they do get splay leg, you can fix that within the first 24 hours. Basically, you're tying their legs together in a little hobble, or putting them in a shot glass and making them exercise those muscles and get strong, and get their hips back under them. And then when you do transfer them into a brooder that's already warm. I use heat plates. You don't have to use heat plates. Plenty of people use the lights. If you do use a heat plate, the room the heat plate is in has to be at least 55 degrees and for it to work correctly. And it needs to be low enough for their back to touch. So that's where a lot of people go wrong with heat plates, is they just think it radiates heat. It does radiate some, depending on, the model, but the purpose of how it's supposed to be used is to act like mom. Mom radiates some heat, she does, but really when they get that skin contact, when they go in between the feathers and they get that skin contact, that's the heat that they need. So make sure it's low enough, and low enough is like this low, like that big. And then again, make sure you have the food and water close enough to the heat, whether, depending on whichever heat source you choose. And if you have raised birds before, you should already know this. I'm going to say it anyway. If they are huddled under the light or under the heat, like they're always there, it is too cold. So lower the heat lamp, or, put more heat plate, direct them there. If you use a heat plate for the first couple nights, you're going to have to direct them underneath. And hopefully they don't go out in the middle of the night and freeze. And then if they are scattered to the edges of your brooder away from the heat, then that means they're too hot. So you want to raise the light, or, not really. The heat plates should be fine, but you want to raise the light. What you want to see is kind of an even spattering of babies in there. You don't want them clamped together. You don't want them against the walls or anything like that, because that's how you judge. There's temperatures that it's supposed to be, but really what you need to know is preheat your brooder by, you can do it by a day. Like, when you're going to hatch them out. When you take them out, you take them out 24 hours after they hatch, or 48 hours after they hatch. Only take out the fluffy ones, and leave the rest of them in there to fluff up. And it will be a really good thing to just get you started. And then the water, again, make sure that there's marbles or rocks or something in them. You can use the same things you use for the chickens. Just use that. I feed on the floor the first week, and other people don't. But if you put them in those containers that you use for chickens that have the vertical part, I have actually seen pictures of this. I've not experienced myself. If you do use those, tape part of them shut, because there have been instances of them like swimming through those holes and up into the food and suffocating in the food, and you do not want that. So there's my recommendations. Watch through my videos, do Quail University, and always come back. We do this every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You're welcome to comment on other videos. We have a couple of garden theme videos this week, but if you have questions, go ahead and put them there. And then newbie quail lovers, which I will, let's see. Newbie, okay, quail. If I could type, that would be good. It's just very high. Quail lovers on Facebook. And then I also have a Facebook group that's a companion to this. And that is the Friends of Sow and Tare Facebook group. And if you do that, make sure you answer the questions, because then we'll know you're a real person. And then if you don't accept all the rules and answer the questions, then you won't be accepted. So make sure you do that. And yeah, you can ask questions. People answer on there too. So let's go up here. I'm glad we're helping you. Okay. TM says I was playing hooky. JJ says, happy these are the best people. Good night. Yes, I agree. You guys are pretty dang good. Steve says, as long as they are warm, they have a heat source like chickens, they are good to go. They aren't dumb like turkey poults. I've never raised turkey. I have 3 chickens that I raised. I didn't hatch them, but I raised them from a day old. And there's a few things different, but they're pretty good. As long as you follow certain rules, then you'll be fine. Happy says, so glad they are like turkey poults, trying to keep them alive as a challenge. Oh, food and water accessible 24 hours a day. Absolutely. That might be something that's different for certain things. If they do not have food and water available 24 hours a day, you will have aggression issues. And aggression issues is really an environmental issue that you caused. In the most cases, there every once in a while there'll be a jerk, but usually it's an environmental cause. So if you have that show up, we are a good community to come to, and we'll help you out for sure. Figure out what the difference is. Ratio is 5-to-1. You're not going to get that when you have babies. You're going to get that when you have adults. One male to 5 females is pretty good. Some people do 4, some people do 6. Crash course, right? JJ says quail are cute and funny, but dumber than chickens. I don't know that they're dumber. I just think they don't have a parent. Because when I had my broody mama, so I had a broody mama that loved to sit on eggs, and she never hatched anything. And I finally decided one time when she was broody, and I'm like, am I going to let you do this again and then not hatch any? Like, it'd been like 9 times. And so I brought her into the brooder because I had babies. And man, she whipped those babies into shape right away. She started yelling at them. She's like, you have what you want. You have what you need. You need to be quiet. And she went into mom mode really quickly. And I really honestly think after seeing that, it's not that they're dumb. It's just that they're unparented. I mean, if we were unparented, we might come off of dumb too. We might survive. We might not survive as well either. So I really think it's being a parent, teaching them. So anyway, that's my opinion. TM says, so I'm guessing a heat plate will not burn them. Correct. And if it does, it is not set right. Yeah, a heat plate will not burn them. It's very safe, and what that allows them to do is it allows them to, go up against it and get warm. And then when they don't need it, they can sleep under it, they can lay down, they can stand up, they can adjust themselves. And something I do with the heat plate too is I angle it a little bit. I try to do that. And you only raise it a little bit at a time. So again, every time you raise it, that baby has to be able to put its back on the heat plate. So yeah, that's a good question, TM. Yeah, and Steve says a heat plate only transfers by touch. It does not radiate like light. Exactly. I mean, you can feel it a little bit if you put your hand under it, but then if you touch it, you'd be like, "Oh, wow, that's hot." Like, oh, you might not expect it, and then all of a sudden when you touch it, you're like, "Oh, there's the heat." And that's how it's supposed to work. I think that's probably where people mostly fail when using heat plates is one, thinking it'll work the same in a cold room, and it doesn't. It needs to be 55 or warmer. And two, putting it too high because I think it radiates, and it doesn't. Yeah, good point. Well, thank you for the super chat there, Happy. Thank you. And Happy says, thank you for the help and tips. I much love and support from Louisiana. Well, yeah, thank you for hopping on here. We like to help people, so that's good. That's good. Thank you. Steve says, treat them like you do your chickens. They'll be good to go. The warning, they can fly at 10 days old. That is a good tip. They'll start hopping and jumping. So what I do on my brooder is I actually have a window screen that I have on the top, because on a window screen they can jump off, hit themselves, and then bounce off instead of like breaking their neck. Because they can jump and break their necks. So that's something that chickens don't do. They don't really hop as much. And so with the quail, they hop, and they can hop out of a brooder if it doesn't have a lid. And so I use a window screen. If there's a window store near you, go in and say, hey, I'm looking for an old window screen. They have to throw them away. They have to pay to throw them away. So you're likely going to get yourself a brand new old used window screen for free. So there's a tip there. Yeah. And JJ says quail roosters don't chase you around the yard like a chicken rooster. Don't ask how I know. JJ, you're so funny. Quail are free-range children? Don't free-range your quail. Oh, Steve, no. Yeah, don't do that. You had a neighborhood cookout. Okay. That's a good move. Yep. TM says Cajun quail from Louisiana are waiting for them. Happy says, speaking of brooders, do Quaternix quail go broody? I have a chicken sitting on 13 eggs due to hatch. Yes, they do. They can. They are likely not going to be as successful as a broody chicken. I have had several broody girls, and out of all of those, I've had 2 nests hatch. And they usually don't stay on them long enough, or they stay on them long enough, but they get up at too much, They're not an animal that you will reliably have hatch their own young. Now, if you have a silky chicken, they are light enough and are known to hatch quail. There can be some disease issues with chickens and quail, so generally you don't want to put them together. I did put quail eggs underneath my broody buff Orpington. Her name is Oviraptor. And she did hatch 2 of them. I think she smashed the rest of them because I didn't see anything. I did find 2 unzipped shells that basically told me the babies hatched. I think her sisters ate them, though, because I never found the babies. So, but yes, they can go broody. I have a couple different videos on there about how to help them go broody. Not help them go broody, but tips for making them brood encouraging them to go broody, I guess. But yeah, you're going to be on YouTube for a while watching videos. There's a lot of information out there. So yes, they do in a natural setting. They can go broody, and they are not nearly as successful every time as chickens, but it does happen. There you go. JJ says, oh yeah, cage height needs to be 12 inches. Okay, or as tall as 6 feet. So yeah, so if you have a cage, if you're growing them in a cage, it needs to be 12, so 8 to 12 inches or below, not below. 12 inches is the tallest, 8 inches is fine. And that seems like a little bit, but that's because they have that explosive jump, the glorified leap, that jump that goes, and they can break their neck. Basically, they can get head injuries, they can break their neck with that force. So they top out at about 5.5 feet is what I've seen. Like their wings will touch the top of the aviary. If you're building an aviary, 6 feet or higher is recommended, and that's 6 feet from the highest floor height. And if you watch my videos on deep litter, you'll know what I mean. So, good catch, JJ. C says, TM, they have it. What? They have what? I don't know what you're saying. Happy says, I'll end up incubating the quail eggs or letting my silkies hatch them because they go broody a lot. Hey, try it both ways, you know? There you go. Rely on your incubator more, Steve says. Yep. But if they have silkies, they might be able to do that. Happy says, if I could show y'all how excited I am for these quail, I would, because I've always loved those cute little birds. Well, join the Facebook group and you can share your experience. And we're here every Monday night. TM says, in the wild, I'm guessing quail go broody. Exactly. So the quail that we're talking about, and I hope you're talking about as well, the quail that we're talking about is a Coturnix quail, and that is a Japanese quail that really has been bred for food for many, 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 many years. And in the United States, there was an attempt to release them into the wild and have them do their own thing, and it failed. So it's a bird that has been a production animal for so long that they don't go broody a whole lot. The ones that you're going to have, that you're going to get a hold of. Now, do they still exist in the wild somewhere that they do that well? Probably. Just like chickens were and are a wild bird, right? A wild forest bird, a jungle bird or something. Yeah. Steve says, my cages are 18 inches with no problems. I understand the guidelines. Yep. And Steve says, we've been there, Happy. We fully understand. Absolutely. And, when you get your first egg, that's a day for celebration. You get your first egg, you put a picture of that on the Friends of Sow and Tare Facebook group, and people get excited for you. You found your people. Absolutely. All right. Any more questions, comments, things? Because we usually go until 8, and it's dinner time. Give you guys a minute to see if we have anything else we need to talk about. And I did not drink very much of my water, guys. JJ says they do seem to learn limits and not jump and bust their heads, but have had a few skinned heads during 4th of July. See, we have like year-round fireworks here in Gilroy, so my animals are unfazed by that. One of my rabbits used to actually. Well, these ones have not had a 4th of July. They had a New Year's, so they should be okay. But one of my rabbits, who is now passed, she always got nervous a little bit for the ones that were really close. But we have like those, like mortar, huge bangs, fireworks, the illegal kind. We don't, but the city has an issue Actually, it's getting better, so maybe it's not as bad. Happy says, well, it was fun to chat. I've got to head to bed soon. And yes, my first egg, I'll probably be in tears. Good. Steve says, mine enjoyed the July 4th celebration. They appear to sit at the cage and watch. That is cool. I agree, JJ. Yeah, they're unfazed. The only sounds that that my quail seem to react to is the jays and the crows going over when they're like "Caw, caw, caw, caw." And then blimps, they really don't like blimps. They just like pause. They're just like, and that's it. And then good night, Buster. And then there's another airplane motor. There's a particular motor sound that they do the same thing to. And they just like they all freeze and kind of look up like, oh, and it's amazing how long they can stay that way and just not move a muscle. In fact, I caught that for a video that I was doing that's going to be in Quail University. I caught that happening. Yeah. Steve says, speaking of food 24/7, I'm going to refresh my feed supplies so they'll stay happy and productive. Absolutely. TM says, how do they act in bad storms? We don't get as bad as storms as Louisiana gets. And I'm just using that comparison because I know that Happy is new. Our storms, they don't really react except for some of the really bad wind storms that makes those. So my roof is a tarp, and it's a tarp because it's not solid and it moves. So I know someone that had a more solid roof and it got blown apart and just a terrible thing with that, and rain and stuff got in and all that. But with a tarp, it has that flex. And once they get used to it from stormy seasons, it's fine. But I did have this year, they did stop laying when there was a really, really windy, because there's an oak tree on the other side. So it made a lot of sound with that. So yeah. Lightning. We don't get lightning here. It's kind of sad because I grew up with thunderstorms and I love thunderstorms, but we don't get it here. That's a question. I mean, we haven't had bad storms like you guys get over on that side of the country. I'm in California. Yeah, we'll ask Aaron or Christina next time they come on because they've gone through some pretty bad storms in Louisiana, and they'll be able to answer that kind of thing. But wherever you guys are, you tell us what you're doing. JJ says, mine scatter when a hawk comes around. Yep. We don't get much hawks. I'm in town. JJ says, I have lost one from loud thunderstrike. It broke its neck. So it probably just jumped. And, the top is not the only thing they can do that with. They can do that on a wall. They can do that on the door. They can, run into things. They're not graceful landers. Let's just say that. Steve says, mine ignore everything noisy. We also live on a speedway for off-road vehicles. Well, they think it's a speedway. Yeah. And that's exactly it. We have these sound things here. Something that might be beneficial, which, I mean, I think was beneficial when there was a television in the house, is watching loud movies right next to the brooder. It gets them used to loud sounds, and it's kind of like with puppy training where you drop a pan or something and the puppy's like, oh, okay. I'm not scared, but that was there. Okay. I think doing some of that actually does train them. Yeah. Yeah, sounds bad. Yeah, breaking the neck. Yep. JJ says Steve's quail are much better socialized. Steve says my neighbor had a lightning strike 20 feet from the quail. They didn't care. You have lightning storms where you are though, so they might it's just something they came up with, right? Like the cat jumping on top of the aviary and walking across. Yeah, mine know that. Mine know what that is. Doesn't faze them. Oh, the one in the broken neck was in a professional cage, so he must have jumped strong. Erica's ignores storms. So you guys are in areas that get a lot of storms, though, huh? TM says, I have had wild birds fly into windows. Yep. Yep. Quit holding worms up to the window. Steve. Oh, boy. All right, guys. Well, I am hungry, so I am going to go. The rest of your quail are pretty chilled, and you okay? That's good. They also ignore the dogs. So David, who was on here earlier, had a big issue with his Dalmatians until the birds were like, "Oh, you're not going to eat me? I'm okay. Okay." So it did take some time, but it's just conditioning. It's conditioning those birds to these things. So it's a good point. All right, guys, I'm hungry, so I'm going to log off here. We've been on here for 2 hours and 45 minutes, and we'll be on next week. I have a fun story about cherries and some cherry information for tomorrow's video. And for Thursday's video, we are harvesting and drying herbs. So thank you guys for coming, and have a wonderful night. Don't eat those potatoes. I'm not going to eat those potatoes. Those are going to go in the ground, except for the rotten ones, which are going to go in the yard waste tomorrow. Have a good meal. Yes. All right. Have a wonderful night, guys, and we will talk next Monday. Bye.